So welcome to my presentation centered on strength training for women. And I've been fortunate enough to have a 26-year career working with women and helping them to become strong and fit. And as we all move into that menopause, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, it becomes even more vitally important that we listen and hear and take in for our own bodies the research that exists on strength training, in particular for women. So I picked out a couple of words, and I just noticed this part here that it's probably a little bit too flashy. I didn't notice that when I first picked out the words, but anyway, I'll read it. Unstoppable, resilient, vibrant, thriving, and full of life equals truly empowered women. So we need to be unstoppable, resilient, vibrant, thriving, and full of life. I have seen women who are not this. I've seen women become this. Also through the presentation, I'll give you some information. I've put some research in there as well, because I'm a research geek like Suzanne. And we'll also give you some information on information that I've drawn from orthopedic surgeons that are women as well, and giving some information for women and strength training. So I will progress. I wanted to give this next slide. I wanted to give a little bit about my background. I always feel ambivalent about putting my stuff out there, but anyway, we all want to be, sort of like a modest, but my background is in this. It hasn't always been in this. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Go into the next one. So my information that I posted, this is a picture of my old studio, and it was a place that Suzanne came to, and I was just down the street from Amy. Right, so my background is in business. I never got a business degree at Dalhousie, but I took courses there. And the reason why I didn't get a business degree at Dalhousie was because I started working for a retailer as a manager at the age of 19. So at the age of 19, I was in Halifax and Bayers Road Shopping Center running a Jack Fraser store. Now I know that's dating myself, but it was menswear. And I was thinking that I was just all that in a bag of chips at 19. Boy, did I have a lot to learn. Anyway, so I did take business courses. I never got a degree because I was working full time. Then I was a part of the group that opened up the Le Chateau stores in Nova Scotia. I became a manager and a supervisor for that group, and it was a very dynamic time. Learned lots, worked with a lot of, you talk about your diversity. Okay, there was a lot of diversity in people who worked at Le Chateau, because if you went into Le Chateau in the early days, it was a very eclectic store, not the store that you see today. And it was cutting edge. And believe it or not, we could rack in on a Saturday, no word of a lie, because people were paying by cash, we could rack in $25,000 worth of sales in one day. And that was back in the late 80s. The heyday of retail has since passed, right? But anyway, so I then got recruited from Le Chateau to be a supervisor for Dilex. Dilex is the organization in Canada. I don't know that I think they do exist because they still have the menswear store. God, the name escapes me right now. But anyway, Jack Fraser, or not Jack Fraser's, but Dilex stands for Damn Your Lousy Excuses. That's what they called their company, Dilex. And I was a supervisor for the menswear store in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Ontario. Okay, so I spent some time there. Then my son was born. And my son was born in Ontario in Women's College. He was premature. He was born at 28 weeks and he weighed 2 pounds, 12 ounces. So I spent 3 months looking through a little isolette at him and crying my heart out, wondering what was going to happen. So at that point, you come to a lot of clarity. And I'm grateful for the clarity that I thought I am done grinding people for sales quotas. I do not want to do it. I'm not interested in that. So I then went back to school, Acadia, got my degree in kinesiology. I went on to do a master's degree in health leadership. And then I established Swan One Training Services in 1999 because I thought I want to be dealing with people. I want to teach them how to live healthier lives. I want to do something that is fun and something that I'm totally 100% passionate about. So that was it. I became a certified clinical exercise physiologist, which is an individual who can work with medical groups, and that is part of our training. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. I loved my time taking and still continue to do stop Pilates training because it's very biomechanically laid out, and it makes sense to me because of my research and science background. And I became a certified myofascial release through role model method training just this past summer because I have been doing a lot of myofascial release, and I love that because what happens is we need to treat the pain or the tension in the body, and then we need to train it and make it stronger. Treat and train. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm also a 500 RYT yoga teacher. Love my training in that. I still teach some yoga, but I'm more of that sort of Pilates yoga mix, and however it makes sense. I'm looking at the person's needs when I teach that. And I'm also an instructor in the Acadia University kinesiology program. So I do teach in there, and various committees advocating for women's health. And I find, menopause, postmenopause, you are a heck of a lot more fearless, to Heather's point, maybe, that I just bring it up. This is my thoughts. I'm not in agreement with it, or I am in agreement with it. And so here it is. So I love this time for 100% sure. Okay, so we'll go on to the next thing. Okay, I picked this picture out, and I know I sort of ripped it off because of lines for a t-shirt, but I love this picture of this woman. Not just from her lovely little musculature in her arms, but just the look on her face, like, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, right? I'm secure in myself. Okay, I just gotta move this a little bit here. Okay. Oh, hang on, I lost my, oh, where did it go to? Can you guys still see my screen? Yeah. Okay, I can't see it. Hang on. Nope. No. Okay, there maybe. Okay, well, so maybe I'll stop the share. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Right. So like I say, I really love this picture because this woman is like, she sort of exudes to me, I'm satisfied with where I am. I feel strong. I feel vital, empowered, resilient. So I put this up here, the case for strong versus frail. And one of the ladies that I follow online, she's an orthopedic surgeon. She's done some podcasts. And she's talking about, she started off as a cancer care nurse. And then she went back to school and became an orthopedic surgeon. And she talks about working with women from like a hip replacement, anything to a hip replacement, knee replacement, or even tendinopathies like tissue strains in the body from the bone. You might have pain in your back or strained tissue at your buttock muscle. You always have pain there. And as she said, the thing with women is, and I continually see this, she said, is women have no buttocks. Women's glutes are very weak. And so she said that creates a problem when it comes to providing them with hip replacement and knee replacement. And no, males do not tend to have that same muscle loss that women have. I've worked with males over the years. Males in the research show that they can pretty well hang on to most of their muscle till into their 60s. Okay, then they start waning, but they do not have that same hormonal shift or that loss of muscle mass in the body that females have as they age. So this is my anecdotal story. So first of all, the research. There is overwhelming evidence for women and weight training. Overwhelming. I mean, it's been researched to death, really. Here's my anecdotal statement. Over 26 years, the misinformation to women still exists and is still thriving. We have your TikTok influencers or other people on social media that really, and I just had someone mention it to me yesterday. They asked me a question. I follow this person, and what do you think about this? There is nothing in the research that actually suggests that that is true. Okay, so this is going to be the age, in particular for women, and like Amy showed us in her presentation, you're going to have to know that the information that you're getting is credible. A lot of information will be coming out, as we know. What's his name, Zuckerberg, has decided there will be no more reviewing of information to see if it's misinformation or anything like that. So you could be being very sincere, but you could be sincerely wrong. Okay, so you have to know where you're getting your information. So here are the myths that still persist today. Weight training will make women bulky. It has never, ever, 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 ever happened. Not on my watch, not on anybody else's watch. The woman who's going to get herself bulky is actually probably going to have to be on steroids or some kind of enhancement, just like men, because there are a lot of men that cannot get bulky. So this is a myth that still persists today. I can't weight train because I don't want to get bulky. Absolutely not going to happen. Cardio is the best way for women to lose weight. And you know what? I've never had a woman say that to me, but I know that that is true because I have only to go to Akita University and see these women doing cardio, cardio, cardio. I do 30 minutes on that one. I do 30 minutes over there, and then I go back there and do 30 minutes. Cardio like that is actually tearing down our muscle. Okay, so we have to be aware of that. Like there is specific amounts of cardio that we should be doing because cardio is good, but this overabundance of cardio actually can create weight gain in us. Women should avoid heavy weight. Well, that's not true. Like if we want to get strong, we should be challenging ourselves to lift weights that actually challenge us to build more strength. Because if I continue to lift 5 pounds, then I'm never going to go beyond that. I'm still going to lose muscle mass because I'm not challenging my muscle to produce, right? So weight training is only for experienced lifters and athletes. Now, back when I first did my kinesiology degree and in my undergraduate degree, there was a group of us who did some research on social physique anxiety, and it's actually published. It's actually been cited, I don't know, like probably 500 times, or if not more, because we did this in 2001. And I think it was published out in 2004. And on social physique anxiety. And overwhelmingly the women said that they experienced social physique anxiety going into a gym with men there. And it didn't matter how many men were there. It could be one man. And that was enough to sort of make women anxious about training in there. He's looking at me, they're checking me out, whatever. So it is a very real thing. However, I've also talked to people that go to women's only gyms. And that doesn't necessarily mean that women actually stay even more committed, because women drop out there as well. I think it's something much more than that. Women should focus only on toning only. That's a myth. There's no such thing as toning, right? You're either building muscle or you're not. You're losing it. Women who are pregnant should avoid weights. That is not true. It depends on what trimester you're in. It depends on how much weight you're lifting. It depends on your health. There's many, many factors, but it's absolutely not 100% true for every woman. And we have to keep that in mind. And these are things that have been researched. And I'll tell you how I know that in a minute. Okay, exercise is your body's birthright. That's the way I look at it. I've been exercising my whole life. Now, not any kind of an organized exercise. I played sports. I had 3 older brothers. I fell out of trees many times. I got hit in the head with a baseball, football, soccer ball, you name it, right? But I was on the swim team. I've done many different things. So exercise is a first-line therapy to treat any array of diseases. So as a kid, there were things that I was going through, like we all do. I had 3 older brothers, and one who felt that, pummeling me every day was a pretty good idea. So for me, exercise, and I was probably doing it all wrong. In fact, I know I was, but it gave me a sense of like, I feel better about myself. I couldn't put a word to it, but it was improving my mental health. And it was the only thing that kind of kept me going at particular times in my life. So exercise is a first-line therapy to treat any array of diseases, which could be not just physical, but mental. So peak bone mass. We peak in our bone mass, and I think Amy had this in her slides as well, between 20 and 30. So what does that mean? This orthopedic surgeon said, women get a bone density test at the age of 65. She said, I totally 100% disagree with that. She said, because by that point, the damage is already done. She said, and she's in the US, she said, I am pushing for women to get a bone density test done at 40. 40, then we can do something with that. We can actually prescribe, we can help them, we can, improve their bone density. Muscle plays the biggest role in using calories and elevating metabolism while at rest. So I'm burning calories at rest if I have well-trained muscle mass. So I don't, this is a lot of the things that women don't necessarily know. Building the muscle will actually help me to burn calories at rest. It's much more efficient at utilizing calories as well. So more muscle mass equals homeostasis in the body and balance. And that means not just from a physical perspective, but from lost my train of thought here, but from our hormones to our whatever processes are metabolic processes in the body. So muscle, an endocrine organ, actually releases signaling proteins, myokines, which act locally and system-wide to regulate our metabolism. So we want more muscle, not less, right? Myokines are released into the bloodstream, and I'm going to just put this over here just a little bit so I can, well, I can't read it right now just because I have, okay, there we are. Myokines get released into the bloodstream and help to metabolize glucose without use of insulin. Very important. Women postmenopausal, one of the things that is, or one of the diseases that is a concern for postmenopausal women is type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. Okay, the vital role of muscle in the female body. So resistance training helps to regulate hormones and blood sugar. If you've ever had a blood, your glucose or blood sugar taken, A1C, and to find out, what your levels are. So it helps to regulate hormones and blood sugar, improve body composition. So we actually don't get bulky. We actually become more firm and more toned. You provide a sense of well-being and increased blood flow to the brain. We'll talk about that in a minute too. It is possible to build muscle at any age and after any illness, and I have witnessed people do that. Any age. I have a woman right now who is 83 years old. She does dialysis at the Valley Regional 3 days a week for 4 hours each day. I can't even imagine the amount of time out of your life for that. But she goes in, she does her strength training, and the woman is doing amazingly well. She's strong, she's fit, and they all like kind of rib her a little bit at the hospital because I think she's the only one in there who's 83 and very fit. Now, kidney disease runs in her family. So, how she's been dealing with this for a while. She only just went on dialysis though in the last 3 months. She's 83 years old. The higher your healthy mass, the greater your protection against all-cause mortality and morbidity. For women, the research shows that if I have a low grip strength test, I evaluate women for grip strength. The lower my grip strength, the more at risk I am for diseases or cause of death. Yes, Suzanne has one. Exactly, 100%. So men do not have that same research. This is women we're talking about. Sarcopenia. So this is a progressive decline in muscle mass as we age. And as we age, that is going to be one of the things as part of aging, but it doesn't have to be a major thing. So this results in decreased functional capacity for women. Sarcopenia can begin in our 30s. And I would even argue that it can begin earlier than that because I've seen muscle loss in young children, depending, like 9, 10 years old. So sarcopenia. Now, this is muscle wasting that we don't get back. That is lost muscle. So this is why it becomes very vital to jump on. The earlier you start, the better. But you can start at any time, as with anything, right? Losing muscle mass is more concerning than gaining fat. From a health perspective for women, losing muscle mass is more concerning than gaining fat. Research-based. Loss of function, muscle is the key to longevity and slowing the aging process. Okay. So current research shows that strength training can effectively manage and decrease symptoms of immune system disorders. Women are, I don't know how many, for some immune disorders can be 9 times more likely than a male to be diagnosed with an immune disorder. Myokines released during aerobic and strength training can strengthen our immune system function, both aerobic and strength. Rheumatoid arthritis, women are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed, but I do know women who were diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis that are strength training, and they're doing better. Lupus, for every man diagnosed with lupus, there are 7 women. So women can have a predisposition to these, and this is what it's showing in the research, that women are more likely to get some sort of an autoimmune disorder. What did I have down here? Systemic sclerosis. Women are 8 times more likely to be diagnosed. After age 30, bone loss can add up 3 to 8% of muscle mass loss per decade. So each decade after age 30, I've got about 3 to 8% of muscle mass lost. Strength training can preserve and build more muscle. Now, this orthopedic surgeon said that as a cancer care nurse, she was part of the research that she was doing as a cancer care nurse was to care for women who were the frail women with cancer, the women who were in bed, the women who could not feed themselves, the women who could not go to the bathroom on their own. They could not roll over in bed on their own. They were frail. And she said she had many conversations with these women who said to her, you know, they would ask her, well, how old are you? Currently, she says she's 1,000 days out from 60. That's her take on her age, okay? 1,000 days out from 60. She said that they would ask her how old she was. She was like in her 40s at that point, or maybe even 50, because she went back to school later on after she had her first child to become an orthopedic surgeon. Anyway, she said, you know, 50s, and they said, we used to be like you. She said it scared the hell out of me. I saw these women in bed, unable to feed themselves, unable to go to the bathroom on their own. And she said it scared the hell out of me. And just to be clear, that this frail, elderly woman is on the rise in the research. This person is on the rise. I just got, well, not just, but Suzanne knows I went to a research conference in Montreal for our organization, and that was in November. It is on the rise. The frail elderly are on the rise. Okay. This one, the vital role of muscle in the female body. I took a webinar just recently, but I know the picture didn't come out too great. But anyway, she does have some good biceps there. You know, on women in cancer. And I've dealt with this individual before. I've taken some of her courses in that, and they're out of the University of Calgary doing a lot of great research on cancer and women in cancer. So healthy weight women are significantly less likely than obese women to develop endometrial cancer. Well, how do I know if I'm obese? Well, there is one measurement that you could take that would be a very easy measurement for us all to take. If I take the measurement of my waist, so at the top of my pelvis, so my abdominal measurement, and I monitor that, for women, it should not be above 35 inches. 33 to 35. Anything over that is predisposing me to metabolic syndrome, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. So I always suggest this to women. I don't need to measure you. I can measure you if you want me to, but you can measure yourself. Look, you could take your waist measurement and take it every month or take it every 3 months or whatever, and just see what's happening, because the bigger that waist becomes, the more at risk I am for these cancers and other chronic illnesses. Breast cancer, many studies have shown that postmenopausal women with a higher BMI. I'm not a big prescriber of BMI, body mass index, because there's challenges to that. But once again, what it means is that if I'm a heavier, think the waist measurement, then I have a greater risk than a healthy weight or a healthy waist measurement postmenopausal woman. Building muscle and participating in cardiovascular exercise can greatly decrease your risk for these cancers. And also this one too, there is an association between higher fat adipose tissue and low brain volume. A connection between waist girth and brain disease, dementia, is predictable. Okay, and women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with some kind of cognitive dysfunction within the dementia umbrella. So that encompasses a lot of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Lewy body disorders, those types of things. Okay, longevity and aging, vital role. 30 minutes of daily activity can slow biological aging by 9 years. I want it. Okay, I don't want to be 20 something, 25, 35. I want to be the age that I am, but I want to be strong, fit, and resilient and able to contribute. And I've had the privilege of working with people who were not that way, and I help them. And I feel very much like the orthopedic surgeon, like, my God, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm moving on. Okay. I'm making sure that I don't fall prey to that as best we can. So 30 minutes, I can reduce fall risk by 23%, which is significant in women, reduce back pain by 80%. 80% of back pain in the research is termed idiopathic, no known cause. And even doctors who I've attended several conferences on pain management from doctors and specialists in pain management will tell you that we have no drugs that are effective with chronic pain. With acute pain, we have good drugs. But with chronic pain, such as back pain, we don't have good drugs. And furthermore, it is idiopathic, which means it's specific to that individual, how they're sensing the pain, how they're dealing with the pain, right? So exercise or 30 minutes can reduce back pain by 80%, can increase your pain tolerance, especially for conditions such as arthritis. I do have women that'll say, well, I have arthritis. And I go, well, that is even more reason why you should be exercising, actually, because it's going to help. Improve flexibility and recovery with exercise, reduces risk for falls by up to 50%. So if I'm going to add that in, flexibility and recovery exercises, think myofascial release, some of these fascial release exercises we do. And I've had a person in recently who I gave a few exercises. They had a lot of pain in their shoulders, neck, back. And I said, if you will commit to doing these every day for the next, like, let's say 3 weeks, and then we come back, you should be a different person. And she came back in and she said, I can't believe how much more, how I've been better able to manage my pain. So quite thrilling when you're living with that kind of pain. So 20 minutes of exercises releases mood boosting endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. And oh, here's a good one. The biome. We talk a lot about that. So it improves gut bacteria diversity linked to better digestion, immunity, and even mental health by being active. Active individuals have a 73% lower risk of macular degeneration as they age. Do you know anyone with macular degeneration? I do. I have a couple clients. And they're in their 80s and they're still active. And one lady just told me that she went to see her person for macular degeneration. And she said, yours is actually very slow. We can manage this. You will likely be very able to manage. She's 83 years old and not the same woman, another woman. I have a lot of 80 some odds. So she's actually able to manage this better than she would have if she hadn't been active. And she does strength training. So I have a lot of great active women. So strength training helps to regulate estrogen, reduces risk of estrogen-related cancers. This is from the research people out at the University of Calgary, that her mother died from cancer, this PhD person, and she made it her life's mission to do research. Dr. Nicole Kilos-Reed. So this is her thing. Helps regulate estrogen, reduces risk of estrogen-related cancers, and mitigates symptoms of hormonal imbalance. High-intensity interval training. We do that in my classes, and, there's various ways that you can do it. 10 seconds on, 30 seconds off, those types of things. We're not doing long cardio. We're doing short spurts of things. So HIIT training has been shown to increase progesterone levels, helping in cycle regularity and mood stability. Strength training and high-intensity interval training boost testosterone levels for women by up to 30%, improving strength and libido. High levels of cortisol, which I've had people tell me their cortisol levels were elevated, can lead to anxiety, weight gain, and hormonal imbalances. And moderate intensity exercise, strength and/or aerobic, can lower cortisol levels by up to 50%. Research once again. Reduce the severity of PMS, decrease hormonal fluctuations in perimenopause and menopause, decreasing hot flashes, mood swings, and sleep disturbances. I got to tell you this story just quickly. I went to a gynecologist at the QE2. And she asked me, what were your symptoms? And I said, you're going to ask me about like menopausal symptoms, right? And she said, yeah, what did you have? And I said, well, to be honest with you, the only thing that I ever detected, and I only detected it 3 times, was I would get this like sort of burning on the edge of my ears. And that's the only thing that I could say that was abnormal. But I've been strength training for a very long time. I know I don't look it, but I actually do strength train on a regular basis. See, I'm not bulky. Um, and she said, you didn't have any hot flashes. I said, no, I did not. So I never had any of those things. And I would attribute that to the level of strength training and activity that I was doing that helped me to manage that, because I firmly believe that if I wasn't doing that, I would have had those symptoms. So, and I can remember women in my class going, do you find it hot in here? The sweat's pouring out. I'm like, no, I'm good. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I just never had any of those symptoms. And I'll chalk it up to activity. Okay, so the other picture I put in there, I go, God, no, this is not where we want to be. Furthermore, I don't want to be this woman with that amount of tattoos on my arms. I mean, I would be just like losing it. And not that I have anything against tattoos, but that amount's a little. Exercise is one of the most effective and natural ways to balance and regulate hormones in both the body and the brain. So we got to take all the help we can get. Yes, we may need our estrogen supplementation and all that, but certainly adding in strength training is only going to enhance all of that. And I'll take any help I can get, honestly. Strength, aerobic, and flexibility training all play a vital role in emotional and hormonal health, along with helping to strengthen and maintain high levels of cognitive functioning. Longevity, today's buzzword. Optimize your muscle and you will optimize your life quality and longevity. That is true. When I first started back, they wouldn't say that you could live longer. Now the research is showing that you can live longer, which is amazing to me. And this point here, the final one, it is not what you have to lose weight. It is what you have to gain muscle. And I think we need to start looking at that from a different perspective. Very important. And I'll go to the next slide because I talk more about that in that slide. Oh, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information. We won't stay long here. I am with the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, and this is an evidence-based training. We have academic researchers from all across Canada, and I would say all around the world, that can contribute to the research that gets sent out to me as a clinical exercise physiologist. So we have translation, like information research translation, that is sent out to us that we can utilize with our clients. So it's up to date. It's not something that's pulled off of YouTube. It's peer-reviewed research, randomized controlled trials. So this is ongoing, and we have a number of researchers that are committed to Canada's Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology. CSEP is a gold standard in kinesiology and exercise science, and it's a leading organization for exercise science, fitness, and research, setting the highest standard of education, training, and professional practice. And then it just goes into a little bit of what a CEP, which is what I am, a clinical exercise physiologist, that we can do assessments. We do work in clinical settings across Canada. And, you know, you have to not only have your kinesiology degree, you have to write various exams for this as well, which may not be the case with other bodies in terms of examination. The degree is, you know, all that you need in terms of saying, I can train you. Okay. And then this one here, I just put down because I don't know if a lot of people know this, because I do work with a group of people that have Parkinson's. And I asked them the other day, do you know what Canada's activity guidelines are? And they were like, no, what is it? Like, we need to know that there is an actual prescription, there are activity guidelines, and actually Canada's activity guidelines have been utilized by many different countries, Australia and countries in Europe, who have taken up And actually, we do work very closely with the ACSM in the US. So the research sort of sister brother aspect of the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, the American College of Sports Medicine in the US, and we do work very closely together. Same sort of a research foundation. So CSEP does the activity guidelines, and ACSM's guidelines are the same as ours. So we're in agreement on that. So number one, aerobic activity, 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity per week. Strength training at least 2 days per week, targeting all major muscle groups. Light physical activity several hours per day, including standing, because sitting is a new smoking, right? Sleep 7 to 9 hours of day, hours per day or night of good quality sleep, not interrupted. And sedentary time, limit to 8 hours or less. Break it up. Standing, moving around, because we are a seated society. That's just the reality. Okay, the prescription. We did a little prescription. So number one, the prescription, a sample training program. I wanted to be able to give you something that you could say, hey, I can do this. Now, you know, when I train people, I train them on proper technique. Like, let's look at this. Let's see how your body's operating. I might make a modification here. But at this stage of our lives, form is vital, and it's absolutely critical that we maintain form, because if we don't have that, then we're injuring ourselves potentially. Strength training 2 to 3 times per week. That's a prescription. Resistance exercises, all of them, 3 sets per exercise. Squats, body weight. You could do squats with your own body weight, 10 to 12 reps. You could do push-ups, modified or full. So at your knees or a full push-up, 8 to 12 reps. Deadlifts with dumbbells or kettlebells. So that's another leg exercise. And it's a leg, but it's a total overall body exercise. So my legs, my back, my abs, really postural alignment, everything. 10 to 12 reps. Dumbbell shoulder press, 10 to 12 reps. And the plank. Whoops, I misspelled that. Hold for 30 to 60 seconds. Planks are really great. And once again, planks have been well researched. We have a guy, Dr. Stu McGill in Canada, who is the back guru of North America. I would say even probably the world, because he's done his whole career on back pain. And he has lots of research on planking and the benefits of it. So then cardiovascular training, 150 minutes of cardiovascular conditioning. So I said 5 times 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Add your 30 minutes in. Or maybe you break it up into 2 15-minute components. It can be accumulated. It doesn't have to be done all at once. Moderate to vigorous activity, a brisk pace to keep your heart rate elevated if you're walking. You know, we don't have to run, but we need to challenge ourselves. Maybe take a hill or 2. Swimming, 20 to 30 minutes, low impact, joint-friendly cardio. A lot of many women I know have been at the Acadia pool and are quite heartbroken that it's going to be closed. So they're trying to find other alternatives right now. Cycling. This is a great place for cycling. Lots of groups to cycle with. 20 to 40 minutes stationary. If you have a stationary bike, I have one. I love that bike. Suzanne has one. Indoor-outdoor bike. And HIIT training, which I really, really love. I add that in pretty well, I would say every day, but there is research that shows even if you did 1 HIIT interval training once a week, the benefits would be there as well. Just 1. Like, I'm going to go as fast as I can and as hard as I can for like 20 seconds and then recover. Benefits to that. So that totally blows my mind. So 30 seconds of alternate 30 seconds of high effort, running fast, cycling with 90 seconds of active recovery. And then we come into the flexibility and mobility training 5 days a week, or we say most days of the week. You should be doing something. So I even gave you some exercises. Most people know these ones. You don't have to do yoga to know them, but cat-cow stretch, flexing and extending through the spine. You could do it on your hands and knees. You could do it standing. You could do it with your hands on a counter. Seat it forward, fold, hold for 30 seconds to stretch your hamstrings. So that is really just sitting forward, bringing a leg forward, getting a stretch, child's pose, pushing, you're on your hands and knees and pushing your buttocks back towards your heels. Chest opener stretch. Every time I go through a doorway, I take my arms out, right? We can add these things in. We don't have to like, okay, I got to throw a mat down on the floor now. Yeah, so you could go through a doorway. You know, I walk through and I hang on for a second or two, chest opener. Incorporate yoga or Pilates classes for guided flexibility training. I won't lie, I love the Pilates. I do add in some yoga, but I'm really a Pilates gal at heart because the biomechanics is what really gets me. The actual detail that you can put into it is what I love about it. Focus on slow, deep breathing during stretches to promote relaxation, just what Suzanne had us doing. Because we need to bring ourselves into our own bodies. We need to embody. All right, so then, okay, so to my final slide, reframing the ask. Over my career, the most asked question from women has been, what is the best way to lose insert amount of pounds? Or the other one that I get is women would say to me, you know, if I could just lose 10 pounds, I would be happy with myself. And honestly, when I hear that one, a little part of me dies. I just go, oh, that is so sad. 10 pounds. So we need to reframe the ask. If we know that losing weight equals, and every woman is the same in this virtual room, if we know that losing weight equals loss of our largest and most vital organ in the body, skeletal muscle, are we really asking the right question? Because if I lose weight, and all of us at this age, if we lose weight, we are losing muscle mass. That is a given. So women must fight for their bodies by building up, not by tearing down. Become strong in body and you will become strong in mind, creating an unstoppable, resilient, vibrant, thriving, and full of life, truly empowered woman. And isn't that what we all want? So these are some of my thoughts. And, you know, I don't want, I would wish not people to feel that I'm badgering them or being aggressive with them, but I do have a lot of research that I've read and a lot of knowledge, and I just feel like, oh, I just know that if they could do a little bit, they would feel so much better and put themselves on a good path. So I do get excited about it, and it might come across as aggressive, but it's not intended that way. But anyway, that's my spiel for today. And I thank you guys for your attention and listening to some of my rantings.
Sherry, I'm going to thank you, but we're going to be all sharing this video. So what I really want to say at this moment is you've just been listening to Sherry Swanberg of Swan One. So you can visit www.swan1.ca. So SWANONE.ca. Sherry is located in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia, but that doesn't matter because I travel with her around the world and she's available. One of the best things I could suggest before we go to our private sharing inside our group is Sherry does free consultations or a discovery call. You want to have a chance to chat with her on your own specific needs in your own specific body and do a one-on-one with her. But what I will say is after you have a consultation with Sherry, what I love is she customizes it based on your body, your needs, your capacity, lifestyle, injuries, body history. So it's not like walking into a video and nobody knows your body. But as importantly, she provides 6 classes a week online. So I can train with her and the other lovely humans in the room on her online offerings. And she crafts these 6 different offerings to cover Pilates, HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, strength and resistance, weight training, myofascial release, which is working your fascia with her, and a little class called bar, which is actually, I think it's butt class. But so by training with her in her online training family, I get all components of an exercise program. Number one, live with Sherry. But if I can't be there live with her, I can watch the video and do it on my own. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We're going to stop recording and then just come into our own private room. So here's to all women asking themselves, what can I build up and not lose? And let's share this recording widely with our friends and family. I'm going to press stop now.